Pay attention to what Trump said about what will happen in 2025 with XRP and the other crypto markets. Okay, you should really pay attention to a lot of new information that was just released about tariffs, cryptocurrencies, and pretty much everything else you buy with your money, even food. This is exactly what we're going to talk about in depth in today's movie. Depending on how you look at it, people's feelings about trading have been changing a lot in the last few weeks or months. That's why I want to start with what's going on in the financial markets as a whole. This is how things stand right now. Both bullish and bearish players are very uncomfortable with the way things are. Putting too much weight on news stories about tariffs has made the market unstable, exposing both sides to sudden, often unfair price changes. We've seen this happen many times with XRP. Around last week it was worth $2.50 per coin. Now it's only worth $1.61. It has gone back up since then and is now around $2.09 per coin. But we were at $2.20 for a short time yesterday. It's kind of like bouncing all over the place. Makes sense that people don't know what to expect. Even news stories that don't seem to be true are moving the market cap by trillions of dollars each way. We saw the fake CNN news story that said tariffs were being put on hold. Indeed, at first, the Trump administration said that was fake news, but later they changed their minds and said it was true because the tariffs pause was happening. What's going on in the markets is very strange. With this kind of attitude, you can see that prices will be more volatile in the future as well. I'm telling you right now that this is not the end of this kind of stuff. So why does that happen? So the White House now says that as a result of retaliatory moves, China will have to deal with tariffs of up to 245% on goods that come into the US. This is up from 145%. Now, one thing I think a lot of you should know is that Apple and all of these other high-end brands have crazy large profit margins on their mostly Chinese-made goods. It often costs them tenths of what they sell them for in the United States. You did hear that right. You're buying an iPhone that costs $1,400.00. It probably costs them about $1,400.00 to make and ship to the United States. There are also a lot of Chinese companies that are talking about how much it costs to make their goods. I think you should look into that just to see how much these big companies in America and many other places have been cheating you. Also, Japan's government pension fund says it has changed the way it invests in foreign stocks so that they don't include Chinese stocks that are traded in Japan. It's interesting that we see a lot of countries here that support the US, like Japan, some European countries, and even Vietnam, putting more distance between themselves and China and doing things that will help the United States. I'm really interested to see how this develops further, but it's good to know that the US has friends around the world that will also do what they say they will do. As a result, Japan also agrees to talk with the US about a new, fairer trade deal. By all means, it is unfair right now. A lot more goods are sent from Japan to the US than from the US to Japan. Of course, we need to close that gap. We want the economy of the United States to grow again. It's bad for the country that has a trade gap. So yeah, it's definitely something that should be looked over. It has been very interesting to see how China has reacted to this trade war. The US needs to stop threatening and blackmailing them if it wants to talk about a trade deal, they say. The United States seems to be taking a pretty strong stance, and I can see why. It has a huge reserve. It's like a 70% trade advantage with the US, which is one of the biggest steps it's ever seen in history. So it makes sense that the US is putting these huge taxes in place. China wants to look out for their own best interests. That's something every country will want to do. It's not always their fault when they make a great business deal, but now that we know the US is pushing back, they're becoming very hostile. They're basically saying that the US is frightening and pressuring them, and they want to show the world that the US is the bad guy here. But I don't think the US is at all the bad guy. The United States is finally standing up for itself after decades of being ripped off. And it's clear that this can't go on forever. The United States will basically fall apart from the inside out, and in 40 or 50 years, they won't even come close to being a world leader like they are now. That can't last for a long time in any country. So yes, this change is very important. Indeed, many businesses may have a problem with this because they're ripping you guys and North America off with all of these goods, which they're again pricing way too high, 10x or more of what it costs them to make them. You can see that Trump is talking about how well these high numbers and tariffs are working, which is pretty cool. He says that the United States is getting a lot of new immigrants and that gas prices, grocery prices, and the prices of almost everything else are going down because of taxes. Inflation is also going down. I kept the promises I made. That's really shocking. With all of these taxes in place, I don't think anyone really thought that inflation would at least go down. But I guess a lot of people weren't really thinking about this. Businesses have been ripping you off the whole time, and they can afford to cut their profit margins. It makes sense that you don't need to make 10 times what it costs to make a product. You might be able to make 3x or 4x instead and still keep your business going. The leaders at the top of the food chain will have to take pay cuts because they are too greedy. Instead of making $20 million, 0 cents a year, you are now going to make $5 million, 0 cents. It's really the end of the world. Yes, the stock prices of people like Elon Musk are going down. Yes, that does sound really bad. But here's what it all comes down to. In the long run, this will be good for the middle class and lower income groups in the United States because more and more jobs will be able to compete on the global market and will be able to come back to America. Plus, Nvidia and Apple are going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars to bring production back to the United States. This will create a huge number of jobs in the country. I really believe in this. I do believe that the US should fight back against China because, to be honest, China has been taking advantage of the US for far too long. There's no better way for this fight to happen right now than for it to happen. Now, I know what you're all thinking. XRP, XRP. Let's talk about XRP. What does this mean for XRP? Guys, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear from the charts that the big swings we've been seeing are all over the place, right? We go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. However, you will be doing pretty well as long as you keep getting the bottoms here. If you buy on all of these red days and then sell on the green days, you'll always make money. This trade made a profit of 65% that we closed, and that was before all of this crazy stuff broke out. It wasn't even that cheap when I bought mostly. The most I ever paid for it was $1.80. Okay, so take a moment to really understand that. With 5x leverage, you can make 65% if you buy at an average of $1.80 and sell at about $2.10. That's what we're doing now. Okay, the stochastic RSI daily indicator shows that we are indeed overbought, and it has been that way for a while. This is what we're going to do again, which usually means a pretty big adjustment. I'm going to show you the last time this happened. You can see that we officially bought too much around this point almost right away. Within the next week, there was a huge correction that took us from being overvalued at about $2.58 per coin on this day to being oversold and below $2.00 per coin on the following week. Okay, that's pretty much what we're talking about here. It's true that we did go down after that, as low as 70 or something right here and as high as 161 right here. That means there will be many more chances like this. Again, the price has gone up too far. I want you to have all of my deals as soon as I make them. And that's what Crypto Crusaders is all about. Of course, we're doing things like